and welcome to Fraud Busting Neofraus podcast. It is the only podcast for female fraud professionals and their allies who want to stay on top of the fraud awareness spectrum in order to thrive professionally while maximizing their happiness and having the courage to create the life they love. Thank you for listening.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the New Fraus podcast, fraud busting, actually. And my name is Olga. I'll be your host today. We have a special guest for today's episode. This is Amy Frame. And without further ado, I'd like to give her the floor to introduce herself a little bit. So, hi, Amy.
Hi. Thank you, Olga. Thank you for having me on the show today.
It's my pleasure, Amy. Thanks so much for your time, taking part of this episode. Could you please tell the audience a little bit more about yourself, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Amy. I'm a registered nurse. I left bedside about 2 years ago and pursued a coaching practice. While I was working in the ER, I saw that many individuals who are pretty sick and realized that our healthcare system was really failing them. So it has become a mission of mine to really support others in true healing. I now am a holistic life coach and business coach, and I also work with other nurses who are trying to create the same kind of practice that I do. I'm an Army veteran, and I've spent a year overseas in Iraq, and now, and recently, I just recently burnt my life to the ground and just rebuilt it. And I feel like as humans, each and every one of us should have this trust fall where we just kind of burn our lives down and rebuild at some point. Sometimes it's an opportunity given to us, and sometimes it's an opportunity we decide.
Thank you so much, Amy. That's a very wonderful, introduction and information about your work and experiences. It's definitely amazing. I'm sure the audience will enjoy listening and learning from your stories. I'd like to ask you this question. What advice can you provide for women in general, and specifically the ones working in the institutional corporate environment, in order for them to have the necessary courage to be able to pursue their dreams instead of being stuck?
Oh, yeah, what a good question. My advice for women is you're not going to get what you don't ask for. I have so many clients and individuals that are stuck in positions or jobs that they just don't believe in, or they don't believe that they're worth asking for what they really want, meaning a new position, more money, whatever it may be. I've heard somewhere we have a life we believe we deserve. So until we shift our beliefs about ourselves and what we deserve, we stay stagnant. So the advice is ask for the raise, ask for the new position, or create it yourself. You are absolutely capable and worthy of having a job that fulfills you.
Thank you so much, Amy. That sounds definitely powerful, but great advice. And let me ask you also this question. What other examples can you share with the audience for women specifically, in order to help them learn from your example to be courageous and not giving up?
Yeah. So a couple of examples. I've really worked hard on creating a life where I continue to step into fear. This is really where courage is created. I became a soldier at a very young age of 18. And I did that because I believed in the power of service. And so one of the ways to really create this life that you want, again, is to step into that fear and see what happens. And it really is taking a big, huge leap of faith to do the things that you feel like mean something. You know, finding a job that you like is one thing. Finding a job that you love and feel like it's in alignment with your beliefs, you create a whole entire different life for yourself. And so, after I became a soldier, I spent a year overseas in Iraq, and I lost comrades and I lost all these things. I realized how important life was and how important it is to, if you have a passion or something's that little voice that just keeps nagging on you to try or to do it, like to step into those things. That is what life is about. We don't know how much time we have here. And so, living a life that's in alignment with your beliefs and what you want out of life is way more important than having this life that everybody looks at and says, oh, that's a perfect life for you. And it's like, is it though? so so how do you not give up? You find things that scare you and you step into them and try them out over and over and over again. You practice that. It's a practice. I became a coach. I became a nurse. I became a student. All these things I have done, and every single step of the way, they were frightening and scary. Your first day on a unit as you're a nurse, like that was terrifying. My first day stepping off that plane into Iraq, that was terrifying. And yet I just kept putting one foot in front of the other and saying, okay, what's next? Like I did that step, so what's next? And just knowing that it'll work itself out. You don't have to have the whole plan. You don't have to have all the pieces put together in order to take those steps. Uh-huh. So I hope that answers your question, Olga, because I might have gotten off topic here.
No, absolutely wonderful responses, and especially from your experiences, because it's actually in my opinion, making the audience, by listening to envision, you stepping into Iraq and from the plane. It's just, I don't know about the audience, but I myself did that. I was when you were talking, I was envisioning you, and especially being a woman, this is incredible. Absolute example, of courage. Amazing story. I'm really grateful, for you, Amy, to telling the audience, these stories and your experiences, especially the advice you give. I think it's very powerful. So thank you so much for this interview. I'm really grateful. Perhaps to close out the interview, any final advice generally for women in terms of empowering them, maybe?
Yeah, and Olga, I would just ask, if, because you said, that's a really good story and that was empowering, and I'm just curious, is there any parts of that you want me to expand on?
Well, generally, my intention is to provide the audiences with some types of tips or tools, whenever they're in situations that are stressful or difficult, how to have the courage to go on, to just continue.
Ooh, yes.
Forward.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I love that. Oh, okay. So many times we come across that fear of like applying for the new job or stepping into it, and it can, and there's multiple fears, right? So like there's the fear that, one, we lose identity, two, we have to move cross country, maybe for a position, a different country, we have to move to a different country altogether. I know you have a lot of experience with that, Olga.
Yes.
And or like a fear of losing friends or family, or that you're not going to be good enough. And a couple of tools that I've really picked up is I really love this visual, and I'm going to use it right now because it's just calling to me. It's just like in my face right now. So at any point in time, you can check in with your 80-year-old version of yourself. You can just check in with them. You can just go inside, close your eyes, get really quiet and say, what advice would my 80-year-old self give me? And I guarantee you that in that moment, you're going to feel this peace around anything you decide to do, whether it's to step into it or not to step into it, because you already know, just by checking into that individual, you already know if you can do it or not. You already know what the answer is. You already know what the next move is. And then trusting that it's all going to work out. This is something you can cultivate. This isn't something that like is magical and some people have it and some people don't. This is available to every single one of your listeners. You can check in. Okay, my 80-year-old self, like, I really want to ask for this raise, or I really want to ask for this new position. And it's like, what would your 80-year-old self? She'd be like, do it. You have it. I'm still here. I'm right here. You're going to be okay. We're still survive. It's not that none of this is going to matter in 3 months. Go ahead and just do it. And I use that place of courage. I go to a distant version of myself and what she would tell me to do. And I step into that over and over and over and over again. So as a tip, as a tool, this is super powerful and it's available to each and every person listening to this. And so, I love that you asked me that question because I felt like I was missing something in my delivery here. And speaking, for instance, is something that is becoming very new to me. I have a lot of one-on-one clients. They have a lot of incredible successes, and I'd love to be able to spread that on a bigger scale. And one of those is cultivating my fear of public speaking or my fear of being on a podcast. And so, again, we're capable of doing any of this. And my 80-year-old version right now is like looking down at me being like, Amy, say whatever you want. Nobody's going to care. You can do this, like show up for yourself, and somebody out there needs your message. And so I just like invite you guys all to check in with her. If you don't know what to do next, check in with her.
Wow, Amy, that's definitely a very unique perspective, but again, super powerful and absolutely valuable, I'm sure, to anyone listening. Thank you so much for this. And thanks everyone for listening. Stay healthy and happy.